Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sharp Edge News TV. I appreciate you for being here. Do me a favor, hit like, share, subscribe, and follow. Turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and followers both on YouTube and Facebook. So please help us by simply sharing, hitting the like button, and of course engaging. We'd like to get your opportunity to we'd like to have the opportunity to assess some of your opinions about some of these trendy topics around the world. All right, without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to welcome a man of two powerful roles, publisher of SharpEdgeNews.com and High Chief Odokwetu of Aide Ogbese, Ondo State. Whether in the newsroom or the kingdom, is always ahead. Give it up for the legend, High Chief Oladimeji Abitogun. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Ola. So good to be back. And to our viewing audience all over the world, we say thank you for allowing us into your coveted space, whether it's on your device or your living room or sitting room, workplace, wherever you may be watching us from. We appreciate you, and we do not take it for granted that you are part of our community and part of what we do here. Good to be back. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So today, of course, we're going to be covering some different trendy stories around the world. We're going to touch on the Natasha Akpoti versus Akpabio. We're going to talk about Trump, of course. We're going to talk about presidents, head of state, former president Nigeria, Babangida, Babangida, IBB. We're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, I'm sure that you have some special for us today straight from the SharpEdgeNews.com portal.
Thank you so much. Like I said, we always appreciate the bond between us and our viewing audience everywhere in the world. But quickly, let's begin to make some pace, particularly the Babangida phenomenon. Since he joined others on the eve of a New Year celebration, that is 31st December 1983, to stage a coup in which they criminally pushed out an elected administration led by the then President Shehu Usman Aliyu Shagari. He's always been a man of the news. At the time, he was the darling of the Nigerian media, and then there was this palace coup after the events of 1983, 31st December, till August 27th, 1985, and then he took the center stage, famously described as the tooth gap, gap-toothed general. Babangida with his smiles. There were times he was able to pull certain stunts on the Nigerian public. For example, when he seized power and Lawrence Anini was tormenting Nigerians as a notorious armed robber from the then Bendel State, later known as Edo State. He asked the then Inspector General of Police, where is Anini? And Nigerians were reveling in all that. And there were times he stood in the rain to give rousing speeches, given umbrella. He was a populist, a darling of the media, and then certain mysterious deaths started happening in the country. There were the well-reported incidents of Gloria Okun, who was identified as a drug courier, and then a supposed miraculous show up in London after she had been rumored to have been executed as a drug courier in Nigeria. Then the incident of Dele Giwa and the threats that were issued on Dele Giwa and letters written to his personal lawyer, the late Mr. Gani Fawemi. The rest became history. Babangida, who was born sometime in 1941, president in Niger State. My parents, who were known as Mr. and Mrs. Badamasi, but because because Babangida felt that, his name Badamasi, his last name Badamasi was always mistaken for Yoruba's Badamasi, and how some people over the years, particularly when he was in power, they said, he was of Yoruba stock. So he added Babangida to his name at some stage. But he was fantastic in an uncommon way. You like him, you hate him. He was a master political dribbler until he dribbled himself into a corner and he scored a goal against himself. You will talk of the Escobar factor in a soccer game, Remember Colombia's born soccer maestro who will score a goal against his side in an encounter. That's exactly what Babangida did. He took Nigerians for a ride and on an endless roller coaster of political transitions known as Third Republic. There were times he assured several people that he was going to hand power over to them. Famously amongst them, the late Lieutenant General Shehu Musa Yaradua, Chief, later, or now known as Oba Olufalaye, and so on and so forth. He played all of them. At the end of the day, he again cast aside those ones and brought up new sets of people. And don't forget, late business Mugo, Emmanuel Nwaya was part of those people that were so manipulated into believing that they were the darling of the administration. But he disappointed all of them until his personal friend, the late Chief Moshood Kashimawo Olawale Abiola, came on the scene. That man, everybody thought, very rich, he will compromise anything. He became their arbitrous and eventual nemesis, insisting on the validation of the mandate given to him on June 12, 1993. We do not want to belabor too much on the Babangida factor, but hate him or like him, this man has been an issue in Nigerian affair, Nigerian public life, since the early 1960s. He took part in several coups. With his input, a coup was likely to succeed. If he was not involved, the coup may be a disaster, spelling doom for several people, including his own childhood friends like Mama Vatsa. That said, this is the man who took Nigeria by storm with the outing of his autobiography, A Journey in Service, this last week. And then it's been coming like a deluge avalanche of criticisms, condemnations, which he had been forewarned by one-time leader of his and commander-in-chief, Olusegun Obasanjo, has been a kind of bad belly. And Obasanjo has gotten his counterpunch back today from the children of the late Dr. Tunji Braithwaite, who said it was uncharitable of him to have spoken of their father in such times. Where we stand today in Nigeria is that everybody seems the untold equivalent of minimizing the talk of Holocaust. That is the violation of the sacred mandate of Nigerians in 1993, June 12, has been casualized by Nigerian elites, and they have cashed out on it, and so insensitive to the feelings of thousands of Nigerians who laid down their lives resisting military autocracy and dictatorship. On a personal note, I knew a young man who was very close to me that was gunned down, Olorunda, the younger brother of my personal friend, Tunde Dele, Baba Dele, also known as Okin. He was gunned down doing his daily pursuit at Esso filling station in Akure on that inglorious day when Abacha decided to waste the efforts of Nigerians and putting them under the jackboots endlessly. That is one aspect of what has become an albatross for Nigerians. But to have come in an indecorous way and celebrating with glee as if Babangida did something great in the lives of Nigerians is what many of us is still, struggling to understand. Bola Tinubu was there, Obasanjo was there, Dangote was there. Talk of all kinds of Nigerians, Mrs. Bola Shagaya, Alakija, all of them came. What would have been a sober moment? And more than 17 point whatever billions was raised in Naira to build a supposed presidential library. Let it be said, Ibrahim Babangida was never elected a president in Nigeria. He was a self-declared president, military president, pronto. That is a totalitarian, a dictator, a violator of our common will. Yeah, some good things may be said about him, but of what good is the gesture that was eventually erased with a mere stroke of a military fiat. That is where we stand today. We move on quickly from that to congratulate the new administration that is taking off in Ondo State today. That is the administration of Mr. Lucky Orimiso. He was sworn in earlier today in Akure, Ondo State, and the event was witnessed by thousands of sharing citizens of Ondo State. We wish him well, and also let us congratulate his deputy, Dr. Oladimeji. And this deputy governor is a fantastic individual. He was in the National Assembly as some sort of a clerk, and now today he has a unique place as the deputy governor of Ondo State. We wish them well. And to the newly appointed secretary to the government of Ondo State, the person of Dr. Taiwo Fashoranti. Dr. Taiwo Fashoranti is an accomplished physician. At a point, he was serving in Aso Rock as a personal physician to Nigerian president. And then sometime last year, he became the chairman of Ondo State Hospital Management Board. And today, he's been announced as the secretary to the state government. Congratulations to him. And we trust that he will do a good job as a honest Nigerian, somebody who has seen the world and who is mindful of the heritage of the family he comes from. All we can do at this point is to wish him well. That said, by way of conclusion, we have noted what Governor Ayedatiwa said, and he promised that he would turn Ondo State around, whether through the land, sea, or air resources of the state. We are paying attention, particularly this promise that the bitumen deposit of the state will be utilized for the common good of the people of the state. We can only wish him something taken to his name. God lucky, sir. Finally, all over Nigeria, the hope of the people. Today, the overwhelming acceptance or passing of the tax reform bill. And then good news to all Nigerians. You need to go and study the laws on insurance in Nigeria, whether on agriculture, automobile, all kinds of areas can be covered now by insurance in Nigeria. And if you do not demand to be paid compensation whenever there is a disaster or risk, you won't be paid. I tried it myself and I got some compensation. So Nigeria works to some extent. That said, Ola, the center stage is now yours. Waiting for you to call the shot.
All right, thank you so much. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a very striking window light in your face over there that's dividing your face into two. Is it possible to close
Uh-oh.
that window?
Okay, one second. Let me tell the back end people here to do that.
Yeah, just to have the window closed so we can have
Yes, please, you can have the
you have
window.
more than enough light in your face naturally.
Ola, could you let me cut out?
Okay,
Could you let me
I'll bring you
cut
down
out?
for a second and then you can do that. I'll bring
Thank
you
you
up
very
in
much.
about 60 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, let me assist our
All
crew.
right. All right. With that being said, we have some other stuff some other trendy stories around the world here. Of course, you're watching Sharp Edge News TV. Do me a favor, hit like, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications. We have some other trendy stories around the world. I'm watching him, he's fixing it right now, and then we'll come back. The stuff that we have to talk about today, again, is surrounding like 3 different trendy topics. We're going to dissect them in details. We're gonna talk a little bit more about the Babangida saga. I'll tell you what, me growing up in Nigeria, the first president I probably knew as a child would be Buhari. Yeah, 1984. So as in I was aware that there's a president called Buhari, and then shortly after, maybe like months, maybe weeks, then suddenly there was Babangida. And for most of my childhood, it was mostly when I say childhood, I'm saying between ages 5 and 10. It was mostly Babangida. You're back now. I think you're
Yes,
much
sir.
better. I can see you. You're much clearer. There's no lights
Yes.
in your face. Better.
Thank you.
All right, good. So I was just bringing them up to speed on while
And
we're
I was
talking.
listening to you, and interestingly, remember your family, the nuclear family to which you were born in, the extended Abitogun family,
Mm-hmm.
uh, came back to Nigeria just as Babangida, Buhari, and all of them
Buhari.
struck.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, just as they struck. And I mean, for the most part, you lived under Babangida before you left Nigeria again.
Yes, for the most part. So I think
Yes.
I mean, a little bit of short-term transitions between Abacha, of course, 1993, then the Abacha, the Shonekons, the interim government, and then there's
Yeah, Shonekon came before Abacha.
before
And the
Abacha.
suspicion, yeah, the suspicion, and from Babangida's own confession at his book launch, I mean, he has always seen himself as, for example, his brother, though the night June 12th election was annulled,
Mm,
remember him juggling as if somebody that was under some kind of spell, or maybe that had taken. I mean, I can speak boldly about this because I, as a youth in the
mm-hmm,
Nigerian university at that time, in a Nigerian university at that time, was of age, and I voted. And I mean, that election took place the year I was supposed to have graduated, 1992, 1993. But
93,
because
yeah.
of their time wasting nonsense that they did, people like us spent extra years.
Yeah.
I mean, we were getting into the university in 1989 just as the anti-SAP prior thing
Mm-hmm.
broke out, and then we were delayed. Remember, I was to resume school September of 1990.
Mm-hmm.
September of 1989 in Ado Ekiti, and then we never resumed until January because of the anti-SAP prior thing.
Mm-hmm.
And 1992-93, they were at their game again, and they annulled the election. As a matter of fact, I was a youth coordinator with under Mr. Shola Aregbe Shola, who had just made an entry back to Nigeria after studying at a California university in the United States. He was, if he's listening now somewhere in Ekiti State, he was, an accomplished media person, a journalist, but he was leading the youth wing of the Social Democratic Party. And when these people struck, I remember I approached the then chairman of SDP in Ondo State. I do not know if he's still alive, Mr. Blessing Kayode of Idonre Stock. So these people said, you people should pack and go. Are you
So
just going to
wait.
live like that? He said, you people don't, if we don't have guns, how are we going to resist them? And then the structures collapsed before our eyes. Fast forward to the Shonekon years, the interim national
Shonekon
government.
was there for how long? For how long?
A few months after he addressed the United Nations. After he addressed the United Nations and he came back, we suspect from reports and what we have.
I want to pick up from. I want to pick up.
Yeah, Sonny Abacha put the gun to his head, and then they announced on the radio that he resigned. He never resigned willingly. They had wanted to kill him.
I want to pick up
from.
So sorry, I want to pick up from Shonekon when we come back to it. I want us to jump straight into some of the trendy stuff right now. We're gonna come back to the IBB stuff, but I want us to pick up from Shonekon, because that's Shonekon into the time that Abacha died in 1998 is quite blurry for me. So you help me with that. So for now, we hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We have some other trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, everybody. So we have this fine auntie on the screen here, Auntie Natasha Akpoti, and
Udoaha. Remember, yeah, the husband's name is Udoaha.
Natasha Akpoti
Udoaha.
Udoaha. And right now in this segment, we want to talk about Natasha versus Akpabio, Senate President. And I'm wondering if the battle has finally ended, but I doubt it, because I'm seeing another report here, I guess, being picked up as part of the syndicate on MSN.com. It says they are planning, she says, she says they are planning my suspension. Natasha Akpoti Iduanga alleges Senate conspiracy against her. The lawmaker representing Kogi Central Senatorial District, Natasha Akpoti Iduanga, has accused the Senate leadership of attempting to silence her. Akpoti made the allegation during an interview on Human Rights Radio on Friday, stating that she has faced intimidation since joining the Senate and warning that plans were underway to suspend her. And I quote, "I know that right now they are planning my suspension. If I'm suspended, fine. It will not stop me from doing my work wherever I can," she said. Her claims follows a confrontation with Senate President Godswill Akpabio on Thursday over the reassignment of her seat. So you will help me here understand what this seat issue is about. I was trying to understand, but it was a little, there's issues with seat assignment. Of course, there's history between the two of them. In recent times, I think there was some kind of dismissive attitude from the Senate president towards her, and I think they came out to say, okay, they've kind of like, and the picture you're looking at is almost seems like they're cordial, but not really, so maybe you can bring us up to speed with what's going on in the Senate with regards to this young lady. Some people are saying that the Senate president doesn't see her as, maybe more so see her as see her as beauty but not brains. I was seeing somebody saying that.
And if the Senate President, Mr. Akpabio, will be operating from such a kind of trajectory, it will be so sad in the time and age in which we live to be so much, to be so chauvinistic, to play the male chauvinism card against an elected senator. It would be unfortunate, maybe because of her gender. That would be so unfortunate, and it could also be a kind of political Waterloo for the Senate president in Nigeria. Let me say this. My personal observation and the feelers we are getting through our reporters, SharpEdge News reporters in places like Kogi State, is that Akpabio should tread carefully so that it does not trigger a major political crisis in Nigeria. You know that the major road that links between southern Nigeria to the northern part passes through Natasha Akpoti-Udohan's senatorial district, Kogi Central. She's an Ebira. Her popularity in Okene is so immense, so tremendous, that what we are hearing is quite disturbing. And so Akpabio should, because of security concerns, I don't want to say too much on that. But what they were saying is that because of certain individuals cross-carpeting and decamping into APC lately in the National Assembly, particularly in the Senate, the numbers, have swollen for the ruling party, the majority party in the legislature, to warrant a situation in which the sitting arrangement would have to be reassigned. But Natasha Akpoti's concern was that if you are going to move her upwards, because some minders of the media within the National Assembly structure have come out to explain that, she actually was promoted and that she had enjoyed certain relationship that could be described as being cordial with the
Senate President.
Leadership of the Senate. So, were things explained through to her, they said she is to lead some diaspora committee or serve on diaspora committee, foreign affairs, and so on and so forth. And they said for her to have even been given the chairmanship of a committee as a first timer in the National Assembly meant there was no bad blood between her and the Senate President. That is what they are saying. But with politicians, substance is often different from the shadow. There could be
the optics doesn't look like that. So
like that, yes. The truth of the matter is that the undercurrent driving this, from what people are alleging, is that some people may be in that Senate who are acting out of sympathy with the disgraced former governor of Kogi State. Remember the kind of travails that traumatic run that this lady had
with Yaya Bello, right?
With Yaya Bello, trying to become somebody consequential in that state. She too was a very close ally of Yaya Bello. But Yaya Bello, whom they often call the white lion, I don't know which lion is white or what is white about a man that brought disgrace to the generation to which he belonged. 1975 born, Kogi man, given the rare opportunity of serving the interest, and he served 8 years. What did he do? Always keeping list of enemies, always moving around with thugs. People that you would call genderways openly. Some of us journalists had an encounter with him when he came to monitor the election of or to serve on certain committee of APC during the election of the late Governor Arakuni Akeredolu of Ondo State. For you to have crossed this path, you would see that, he took the act of political brigandage to another height completely. Somebody could summarily be killed crossing the path of this Yaya Bello. So if some people in the Senate are now acting in sympathy with him to continue to do everything to persecute and try to subjugate this woman with the resolve of unconquerable, indomitable personality, it will be too unfortunate. What we can say at this point is that the report you have paraphrased there, the one you quoted from MSN, from MSN's syndicate, may not be far. It may not be far from the truth. If they could do it openly, there was a time the so-called sorry, it's not a so-called. He is indeed the president of Nigerian Senate. Senator Akpabio reminded her that, the National Assembly or the Senate was not a clubhouse or something like that. I mean, it's something that was meant to really reduce her in stature and make her look like, or make it look like every woman must be some Olosho or Ron's girl. That is really outrightly insensitive and demeaning. And he shouldn't have spoken about the genuine accomplishment of the woman lawmaker like that. It should not. And whether somebody is a man or woman, it does not matter. What has she got to contribute? And monitoring the activities of Senator Akpabio up to this moment, there is nothing to show that she is not worthy of a place in that Senate. There is nothing to show that she's not worthy of that spirit that we know our mothers, our sisters, and what have you for. And she's playing out that role effectively. So if anybody is now saying that Akpabio seems to have issues with women, such a person may not be far from the truth. It's the same person that's had something negative with Senator Ireti Kingibe of Federal Capital Territory. The same him. So the Yorubas will say, it's him yesterday, same individual today, like somebody who has murdered and who has also eaten the late husband. So everything is always on the head of the tortoise. Why is it that it must be Senator Akpabio all the time? What does he have against women? If he no longer has a mother, but if he no longer has he used to have a mother, probably he has a wife, he has a daughter. He should tread softly. He should tread softly. Otherwise, he would just see women all over the world coming after him. And when there is political backlash, it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. That's my take on this matter.
So let me ask you a question.
Yes.
What? Because I'm not sure if I picked that up from what you said. What is the main issue that they have with her?
The main issue is that
according to them,
they are in denial about the kind of they think she has persecution complex. They are in denial about what they are doing to her. They are saying she's crying wolf.
Okay, so she's just crocodile tears, just making
which
noise.
Is not true. Which is not true, because there were times people have noticed that a form of ostracization is going on. There were times she will raise a hand in the National Assembly
and they won't
to be recognized. Her. They will not recognize. They won't grant her recognition. So, like Yorubas will say, "Ojo gate, kujo gate." There is something about this that looks like, okay, this lady is being targeted. But I can't, I can't, speak from, a position of absolute concerning them. But if there is something fishy about what they are doing to her, if they are doing anything to her, let it stop right now. That is what we're saying. That place must give equal representation to everybody, and you cannot play that card, because in the final analysis, Senate President Akpabio is just first among equals. He is not in any way bigger than any other senator. And you cannot even make that attempt to want to deny the people of Kogi Central an effective representation. It will be an illegality.
Unfortunately,
it will be unlawful for them to want to suspend her. They should not try that.
Unfortunately, I saw some women were even attacking her. I saw a young lady that came on the screen who said, saying, "Oh, this is how you treat your husband at home."
That itself is condemnable and unfortunate. That is the typical traditional thing people say about women. So when a woman speaks, after long years of training, preparation, they think her place should be in the kitchen. I don't want to join that kind of, because I know the kind of name or the kind of word I should use for that kind of a young upcoming lady that would say that about a fellow woman. What did I say the other day on this show? I said the enemy, each person's enemy is within the household. You are not going to see. Yes. So you are not going to see a worse enemy outside than the one right in your house. She's not going to. Natasha Akpabio is not going to find any worse detractor than fellow women. Just look at it. Dr. Sarah Jibril, all of them, ladies who have always come out for Nigeria's leadership, whether at presidential level, governorship level, their worst opposition often come from fellow women. So what you're expecting that individual who lacks proper exposure and possibly the kind of education to understand what is the kind of mental magnitude to understand and handle what Senator Akpabio is facing. What are you expecting from such a lady? What are you expecting from such a lady?
All right.
But you know, but you know what? We have always seen in her this possibility of registering with a bang, triumphant of the will. Triumph of the will. That is what this is going to translate to at the end of the day. But they shouldn't try to do anything funny. No senator is bigger than the other. And to abuse, it will be an abuse of privilege to want to even suspend her. For doing what? She was quoting the appropriate provision. I mean, within the rule of the House, that she should be heard. It's their own rule. And to want to silence her like that, want to reduce her to a yes man or a yes woman, a bench woman in the National Assembly, it's not just going to happen. So that's one thing she made clear to all of them. Too bad they could not embrace that teachable moment.
All right, thank you so much. Let me do a quick shout out to the people in the chat. Shout out to Blossom Show. Blossom says Babangida's book should be tagged Confessional History Book. Shout out to Miss Elizabeth Omotayo, that's family. Shout out to Natu, that's family. I see you all. Thank you for being here. Now, without any further ado, we're gonna
thank you for being. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. You're part of the SharpEdge News TV family, and we appreciate that.
Yep. All right. So, without any further ado, we have some other trendy stories around the world. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So Trump and MUSK, mass chaos in the government.
Sorry, Ola.
Yes.
Sorry, Ola.
Yes.
As we proceed, somebody just reminded me that I failed to mention the last name of the new deputy governor of Ondo State. He is Dr. Laide Adelami. Dr. Laide Adelami. My apologies. Yes, the new deputy governor of Ondo State. My apologies. Thank you so much.
That's okay. All right, so let's talk about Trump and MUSK. Mosquito. Mass chaos in the government. Mass chaos in the government. So there's a report here on AP News. Federal workers return to offices amid threat from Elon Musk. Federal employees across the country, that's United States, many of whom have worked from home since the COVID-19 pandemic, were back at agency offices Monday under President Donald Trump's return to office mandate. Billionaire Elon Musk, who is leading Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, scoring government agencies for suspected waste, delivered a warning Monday to workers on his platform X. And I quote, starting this week, those who still fail to return to office will be placed on administrative leave, MUSK wrote. Then Elise Zeldin, Trump's new administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, said Monday on X, full-time, and I quote, full-time COVID-era remote work is done under POTUS leadership. In a video he posted, Zeldin said average attendance at EPA headquarters on Mondays and Fridays last year was less than 9% of employees. And I quote, our spacious, beautiful EPA headquarters spans 2 city blocks in DC across 5 buildings, Zeldin said, but our hallways have been too vacant, desks empty, and cubicles filled with unoccupied chairs. It appears at least some federal agencies are not prepared for all remote workers to return to the office. And in an email to U.S. Department of Education Federal Student Aid employees on Friday obtained by the Associated Press, agency officials noted that some regional offices in Boston, Chicago, New York, and San Francisco were not ready for workers to return. The message also noted that employees who live more than 50 miles from regional offices in some major cities would not be required to return to the office Monday. And I quote, we should treat it like the first day of school. Plan a little time in your calendar to get oriented, find your way around, and figure out how to connect in the conference rooms, the email said. There will no doubt be some who get lost or are late to class and have to scramble to find a seat. So anyway, I'm going to end with this so you can give me your take on this, right? Federal workers, according to a U.S. Office of Personnel, federal workers can ignore Elon Musk email ultimatum. There's bass boost in the government. Anyway, let me hear your take.
It's almost like a situation of the ultimate confrontation. It seems like are getting to a crescendo right now, that climax, and there will ultimately be some kind of resolution. It's going to be whether there's a interregnum of dictatorship would score the ultimate victory, or the people, or we as American people would have the ultimate triumph over these tormentors, elected tormentors. But remember that Elon Musk himself is not elected. And look at the platform he uses to want to control the destiny of millions of us Americans.
So yes. Wait, do we consider him a political appointee or not?
Honestly, today Donald Trump will say he is an appointee. Tomorrow he says, he is not. So if these people, it's a kind of confusion, a confused situation right now. Donald Trump cannot even honestly answer that question you just asked me. Well, it will say that people are dodged, particularly Elon Musk, to answer in the affirmative that, he's a government appointee. He's just a floating man doing some actual job. It's almost like, yes, honestly, I want to be very guarded and guided in how I describe the situation. But honestly, I see a kind of mafia script in everything that is going on. This is like, sitting at the heart of the substance of Americanity, and almost rubbing it in that it could be run with the whims and caprices of certain individuals. When these two would have passed, you would see what is behind it all. This cannot be a honest situation, a honest brokerage for the American people. It cannot.
You don't think they're going to help us reduce wastage?
What wastage? Even when they themselves do not, represent anything other than waste in itself.
So what about all those? What about all those people with who are 100 years old and 150 years old that have been collecting
It never
Social Security?
happened. It never happened. You have had the position of expert when Social Security was going to be floated, when it was going to start out originally. Certain individuals' age were brought from 1875. It was, I mean, you are a scientist yourself, Ola. It's almost like an hypothetical situation to start out. We start out with this. It's not as if they are enrolled in that system. That is the explanation that has come from an informed expert.
So there's no actual money going out to this.
Nobody from 1875 that they like to quote. And after there was a pushback, did you hear him say that anymore? I mean, it's like all of us have forgotten who this guy is. Every second that passes, there must be one lie. You think he's going to suddenly stop lying to us?
What will you talk about? You talk about Elon Musk or Trump?
The head man himself.
Okay,
Donald Trump. Yes,
okay.
Of course.
Do you believe that Elon Musk will yield to lie to help him lie?
Yes. Don't you know where it's coming from?
Yeah, tell me, please. Do share.
Where it's coming from? It's coming from racist South Africa, and that is the agenda that is forcing on the world. So he's not. Yes, Elon Musk is not able to resign himself to the practical truth that apartheid is over, and it's rubbing it on the. I mean, if you cannot contain an evil child, a bad child at infancy, what do you think is going to become when he grows up? That is what the world is reaping in people like Elon Musk. So the heritage of apartheid that grounded South Africa is what he is now forcing on the entire globe.
Okay.
And we'll see how that works for him.
Let me play this video for you. This is breaking news. This happened over the past 30 to 45 minutes. Okay, this is between Macron.
Sorry, you saw, because of the passion with which I was speaking, you saw my props tumbling.
I got you.
That is the way their lives will be tumbling.
I got you. I just want you to touch this one because of time as well. I'm going to play this video, and then I want to hear your take on this video. This is within the last hour between Macron, who is I think he's the president of Canada, and Donald Trump.
No, Macron is the president of France.
France, rather. Sorry, France.
Yeah, he just met with Donald Trump in the White House.
Right. So there's some kind of interruption here. I want to see if you can pick up how he interrupted Trump, and let's take it from there.
I support the idea to have Ukraine first being compensated, because they are the one to have lose a lot of their fellow citizens and being destroyed by these attacks. Second, all of those who paid for could be compensated, but not by Ukraine, by Russia, because they were the one to aggress.
Again, just so you understand, Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear.
Okay.
We have 230 billion frozen assets in Europe, Russian assets, but this is not as a collateral of a loan, because this is not our belonging. So they are frozen. If at the end of the day, in the negotiation we will have with Russia, they're ready to give it to us, super. It will be loan at the end of the day, and Russia will have paid for that.
If you believe that, it's okay with me.
President Trump has long been talking about he believes the U.S. got the short end of the deal here. He believes that the U.S. was on a gravy train, in his words, during the Biden administration, and has been ripped off, and saying that Europe and European countries have a loan and the U.S. has just been paying assistance to Ukraine.
All right. So are you able to understand what they're talking? He got checked, maybe fact checked in real time.
Yes, he's reworking his lines. Do not forget that this guy essentially is not your regular internationalist. He has very poor understanding of what is involved internationally. He has short attention span when it comes to the details of foreign affairs, international engagement. And when he is being told, I mean, now fact-checked in record time, in good time.
On TV, national TV.
Because he went there poorly prepared. He's never been a good student. And as a leader, what else do you expect from him? What else would you expect from him? I mean, this is really beneath our place as Americans. It's never been this low. The bar has been has been brought so low, and he has to deal with that. There will be several moments like that. Especially, do not forget, the French president spent part of his formative years living in Nigeria. And in Nigeria, we speak the truth to authorities, to power. That is an heritage, that is enduring with him because of his past stay in Africa. And which is why he is able to tell it to him the way it is. Unlike those lackeys and what do you call them, sycophants around him, who all they want to do is to kiss his imperial presidency's ring. Somebody is able to tell it to him as it is. That no. Those things you want Ukraine to pay for ultimately. You violated the people of Ukraine. The frozen assets of Russia will pay for that ultimately. And let's continue to watch the way things are. We thank God for the moment in which we live. God is affording us the opportunity to see ourselves as Americans, the worst of us. Many of us voted for him. They gave him an overwhelming mandate. They are not with him on how he is spending it. And now he would have to give account ultimately. But we hope it does not wreck this nation. That is all I have to say.
See, I can't lie. When the Macron French president was talking, I got lost for a second because he was talking about some really complicated, complex stuff. Obviously, if you don't really follow politics or, like you said, foreign policy.
Yes, the deal is that you carry more than an average brain. You know where you're coming from. These things, yes, maybe it would look like that for the purposes of us breaking it down for mass education, for mass communication. But the truth of the matter is that it's so simple enough that you do not push a person into double jeopardy.
What is the crux of what he said there that was different from what Trump was insinuating?
What Trump was going to insinuate is that ultimately Ukraine would have to pay for the crime committed by Russia. Remember, the issue here is territorial invasion and aggression.
Yes.
Seizing lands belonging to people of Ukraine, and then you know the way Donald Trump has been parroting the disinformation system from Russia, accusing the guy, the Ukrainian president, of being a dictator, of being somebody who started the war, and then the world pushed back. This is almost like a second serious pushback, and he continues to double down on his false claims.
So now, what did Macron say to counter that?
What he is saying is that no. Some of these things you are looking at as gross debt or whatever on the part of people of Ukraine. No, that is not the way these things were structured. Certain assets are frozen concerning Russia. If ultimately this thing, is resolved, Russia ultimately will still pay. And if they cannot pay, and maybe as a way of a settlement, whatever arrangement comes from
they have a lot more at stake ultimately anyway.
That is it.
Yeah.
But to make it look like Ukraine has offended and has
to make it look like it's a Mexico fence.
It's more than that. What he is now saying is that ultimately certain frozen assets on the part of the the antagonist in this matter, the aggressor, will be used to defray whatever has been advanced in loan.
Right.
The grant will remain grant. So
Yes,
for
the
things
grant to
that,
remain grant, just like in real
yeah, and
life.
for
Yeah.
things that were carefully negotiated, that were honestly, negotiated by past American administration.
Mm-hmm.
You are not going to turn it around as if, or you are going to exert certain negative advantage on the people of Ukraine. That is what he has just been told there.
What do you say about the fact that they've been calling, what's his name, Zelensky,
Yes,
Ukraine president? They've been calling him
Vladimir
a
Zelensky.
dictator over the past 7 to 10 days or so. They've been.
Because
What do you say about that?
it's a talking point coming straight from the mouth of Vladimir Putin, the Russian strongman and the killer. That is coming from Vladimir Putin. The point they are making here, between Ukraine and Russia, where do they have free and fair elections? It's in Ukraine. In Russia, Vladimir Putin could be returned into office as if there is Iran or Iraq. 99% victory in any election. Does it make sense to you? That is where the dictatorship is. That is where they don't have credible election. But now turning it around, using the talking points developed by what's it called, by Kremlin, by Russia, to want to describe the duly elected legitimate president of Ukraine. It's what the world is telling him is unacceptable, and that that has to be put in check, which is why Zelensky told him that he is in this formation bubble.
Okay. All right. Let us know your thoughts about this one, please.
So remember, in the past on this show, we have said the original guy that is guilty of fake news, who wanted to destroy the media, is Donald Trump. And that is what you still see him doing, peddling in fake news. Yeah.
As long as it works in his favor, is that what you're saying?
Just to cause confusion in the world and reconfigure the world. Don't remember this guy. Don't forget this guy is a disruptor of a strange kind.
Okay.
Yes, will seize your brain and make you think that, oh, this lies is the truth, until you now find out that you may even be, become sick by way of a mental health. That is the kind of situation the world is contending with. When it's done with all of us, you will see the number of people that will be struggling with the mental health issues. That is what lies. Living under liars and authoritarian people. That is what such a situation breeds.
All right. Without any further ado, we're just going to move on to the next story. Let us know what your thoughts are out here. What do you think? Do you think there's waste in this nation that we need to clean up, that we need Elon Musk for? Or you think it's all cap? Like we need to get back to business as usual, and this guy is just trying to divide the country still. Let me know. Let me know your opinion in the comment section. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. We'll be right back. Babangida breaks silence, regrets cancelling Nigeria's historic poll. There's a report here on This Day newspaper, Nigerian newspaper. Of course, I said earlier we're going to pick up from Shonekon, but let me just read this. And then I really want to hear your take on this book and some of the revelations that we've been seeing trendy over the past few days. With regards to the election in 1993 that was annulled by Babangida, who is now 83 years old. He was the president of the years that year back then when I was growing up. But 32 years after, IBB accepts responsibility, regrets annulment of June 12th poll. And Deji Elumoye, Emmanuel Ade, Chuks Okocha, Adedayo Akinwale in Abuja, almost 32 years after the annulment of the June 12, 1993.
Those guys you are mentioning, they are reporters from a This Day stable.
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, the one
Some of them, some of them, particularly Ogatrix Okocha, we were together in Abuja.
Okay.
So, back then. Go ahead.
Good. All right. So, 32 years after the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election, Nigeria's self-styled military president, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, for the first time yesterday expressed deep regret over the annulment of the widely adjudged freest, fairest, and most credible poll in the history of the country. Babangida, who spoke in Abuja at the unveiling of his autobiography titled A Journey in Service and launch of his presidential library, admitted that the June 12th presidential election was the most credible, freest, and fairest in Nigeria's history. He said it was unfortunate that the administration that decided a near-perfect electoral system could not complete the process. Expectedly, the atmosphere at the Congress Hall of Transcorp Hilton Hotel, where the event took place, was abuzz with an air of anticipation as dignitaries from across Nigeria and beyond gathered for the official unveiling of the long-awaited autobiography. The hall was adorned with elegant decorations reflecting the significance of the occasion. Distinguished guests, including President Bola Tinubu, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, and Goodluck Jonathan, and ex-head of state General Yakubu Gowon Abdulsalami Abubakar, gracing the occasion. The historic event was further enriched by the attendance of the international figures such as former Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo, who delivered the keynote address. Conversations filled the room with attendees reminiscing pivotal moments in Nigeria's history, and discussing the insights anticipated from Babangida's memoir. The event was not only a reflection on the past, but also a convergence of thoughts on the nation's future as leaders engaged in meaningful dialogue. But beyond the moment, which offered a window into the life and times of Nigeria's most influential figures, the impact of Babangida's actions and inactions had resonated beyond 3 decades, reshaping Nigeria's political, economy, and even international standing. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, sir.
Yes.
I think the present President Tinubu went to exile, running away from Abacha, or was it Babangida? Which one was it?
From all of them.
From
That's
all of
what
them.
that's what we were told. How they suddenly started obnobbing and they're sitting together at a forum, rewriting history is what they have to explain to all of us.
It's the way you said that's what we were told. But anyway.
That's what we were told. That's what we were made to believe. For example, I was able to mention the cold blood murder of somebody like Olorun that was well known to me. That young man's intestine
hold on, sir. Before you go, I'm going to give you the floor, I promise. Okay, before you go. There's also some mentioning about some type of confession around what instigated or what might have instigated the coup that were put on the Igbo people or the military guys from the Igbo land. If you can make some mentions of that, that would be nice. I would like to be educated on that, because now I think they're asking for 10 trillion naira, something like that. So I'm not sure, but the floor is yours now, sir. If you can start from Shunekon, where you stopped the last time.
You mentioned another aspect, the January 15, 1966 coup led by Major Kaduna Nzogu, Shukuma Kaduna Nzogu. Remember? The man from Opanam in present-day Delta State. And like somebody like Ife Ajuna. Of course, you remember the guy that was suspected that possibly, if he had lived long, would have probably become a Nobel laureate, like his friend Wole Soyinka, the late Mr. Christopher Okigbo. I mean, yes, Christopher Okigbo, the poet who wrote the Doto series of poems. So what I'm saying here, all these people died in the war, and Professor Ali Mazuri later wrote a book which he called The Trial of Christopher Okigbo. Ali Mazuri, who worked closely with the late Sifemke Abiola on the demand for reparations for Africa and people of African descent concerning the Middle Passage, the slavery experience and colonialism and what have you. Now, 1966, January 15, I found a corroboration of what I was told in an interview by the late Chief Odumegu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. He told me in an interview that nobody wanted any other thing when they purchased the coupists or revolutionaries, depending on what you call them now, struck on January 15, 1966. What they all wanted was that Obafemi Awolowo should be released from prison and power handed over to him, because they believe he was robbed in the election that held 1965 or whatever, or 1963 thereabout, 1962, 63, 64, 65. There was massive rigging leading to the Operation Wettier situation, in which people were incinerated after being killed and tagged traitors. And that election was massively rigged to favor the Northern People's Congress that had gone in alliance with OBGA, the political party, being a United Progressive Grand Alliance, which went into the formation of NNA, led by, that was the splinter group of action group, led by the late Chief Samuel Ladoke Akintola SLA, the former deputy premier to Obafemi Awolowo when Awolowo was the premier of the Western region. So they said, as a way of restitution, to make sure everything was okay, Obafemi Awolowo should be declared the prime minister. Power should be handed over to him. Ojukwu told me that in an interview, and I find a validation of that in the claim of Babangida in this book, that it was not an Igbo coup. It was meant to be a pan-Nigerian coup, but certain things did not work according to plan. And then it became a situation in which it was tagged an Igbo coup. Let me also give you a revelation from my personal interview, or from my official interview with the late Chief Odumegu Chukwuemeka Ojukwu. He said, whenever the pogroms had started, that is pockets of mass extermination of the Nyemiris, that is the war that was really hanged on the Igbos. Some people will say Nyomiri, some people will say Nyemiris. Nyemiri in Igbo means give me water. Whenever they arrive a place, maybe as sojourners or fresh settlers, they will beg for water to be given to them to drink, and then so people use that as a tag on them, like they call us Yorubas Mbati or Ofemanu, or we love to eat soup or stew that is overwhelmed by what's it called, red oil or palm oil. And then people also have their own whatever for the houses. But because of this pocket of killings, Ojukwu being the governor, the military governor in Eastern Nigeria, told all Igbos, as there was panic and pandemonium everywhere, that if you could, from what he told me, he said, if you could, I can't defend you outside Eastern region, but if you can't find yourself in Eastern region, I will give you protection. Then there was this exodus. People started getting on the Agena foes and what have you to return home. It was so massive before things broke down eventually. To that extent, if Babangida is claiming that it was not an Igbo coup, I agree with him. That could be the only point of convergence between him and I concerning this book. Because we now go back to the Shonekon years. Like I was saying, what we suspected was that when Shonekon had addressed the United Nations, that Nigeria was on a steady march towards democracy. He returned home. Our suspicion, and we have that license, that liberty to assume that the gun was pointed on his head, that he should relinquish power. And no other person could have done that other than Abacha. From Babangida's confession, Very mundane. You know, we are not given to insulting elders, and we won't insult him. But we are struggling to contend with that fact that mundane consideration of, oh, he saved his life, the life of his wife and his children during the Gideon Orcas coup was the reason why he had to act like a lily-livered general to say, oh, whatever he asked for. And the so-called Sultan was, they will be granted their wish. Remember, people like Dangiwa, Colonel Umar, and all of them, they challenged when they said, oh, some IBB boys. They even lied that Brigadier General David Mark, who later became Nigeria Senate President, was one of those who said the election should be annulled, that if they handed over power to Abiola, that they will kill Abiola. Those people are still alive today. I'm happy IBB is able to, maybe because he's having the experience of somebody who is already facing his grave, and he wants to meet his God, light-headed and light-hearted. We don't know. He doesn't want to die like the character in King, what's it called? Death and the Kingdom's Mind, Wole Soyinka, the election in Odeoyo, who had to request to be given a maid so that he would travel light to the great beyond to go and help the Alaafin. So maybe that is what Babangida is facing at this moment. That, oh, he didn't want to have on him that burden. But it's coming rather too late. Yes, there is a place for, I forgive him personally, but I think his contention now is with his creator. And then forgiveness is not that cheap. You don't even get, you are not going to be forgiven without atonement. I do not think that Babangida is penitent enough. Remember, I said it on this show before. 1998, during the 80th birthday of the man who later became, he had served as president of South Africa, Nelson Mandela. He was still in office. There was his 80th birthday in Abuja, 1998. And that was the forum where everybody first gathered, and we suspected something was coming together for the formation of PDP and possibly to make sure that Olusegun Obasanjo ran as president of Nigeria. Upon that occasion, Ibrahim Babangida was the chairman of the occasion. And when he left the high table to use the bathroom at Sheraton Hotel and Towers in Abuja, I ambushed him as he was coming. Almost off-guarded. The security around him had relaxed. But as soon as I pushed my micro recorder in his mouth, asking him about why he annulled the election, what he told me and other journalists who later decided on the two of us was that, of course, we have always tried to rationalize the reasons for the annulment, and there was no clear-cut answer to our inquiry that day. And then his security details came, and they broke us all up, and they led him back into the hall. It was a major attempt by me and other journalists to get him on record. Each time Babangida has spoken on this issue of June 12 election annulment, the story changes slightly. Babangida, while in power, was not consistent. I do not think he is being consistent with all of us now. I think he's just taking Nigerians for a ride, Ola. You know what all of us went through under him. I've narrated some of these things. The trauma killed a lot of people, but the direct impact on all of us cannot just be dismissed like that. When people try to come around and casualize it as if nothing really happened, it's almost like being in denial of the Holocaust against 6 million Jews or the nation of Israel. It is almost like being in denial about the assault, the affront on all of us, our common humanity as Nigerians. And I'm expecting so many people to come out. As for the optics that came from there, it was almost like the convergence of the tormentors and the people who they take Nigeria to play. They take us to play. Are you whining me? I mean, even the mood there It was not, there was no sobriety about everything they were doing. It shows something. History will capture that moment as one moment when the a convergence of so many black people did what they have always done. The death of any of us, the violence visited on none of us do not diminish us. Rather, since it hasn't come to the turn of any of us now, we felt it was okay for those who were consumed. And look at the wave of human tragedies since the June 12th impunity. Are you going to talk about the killings at Lekki Gate? Are you going to talk about the one on, and so on and so forth? It's almost become a norm. We are so numb to the kind of violence visited on our common psyche, and so anything goes. This is my take on the old Babangida charade. Good luck to him. Let him suck it up with his own goddamn autobiography. You know.
Let me.
And the oil 17 billion naira that was raised. And you just paraphrase the Unduka Bagbena this day for us. Do you know that part of what Unduka Bagbena has not explained to Nigerians is how the seed money for this day newspaper started itself? That newspaper itself was brought up, and I'm saying this, it should engage all of us in a debate. Unduka Bagbena, upon the announcement of June 12, 1993 election, appeared on CNN and was insulting the intelligence of Nigerians, rationalizing and speaking on behalf of the military administration of Nigeria. That is Unduka Bagbena for you. As for his This Day project, today, we thank God for people like Dr. Ruben Abati. We thank God for people like Rufai Oseni. We thank God for all the hardworking journalists on their stable. But that was not the original story. That newspaper was started to perpetuate a lie and make it look normal that June 12 was annulled. So all these people coming out now and playing the card of a super Democrats, they God forgive all of them. Yes.
So to end this with
this newspaper started as a propaganda mouthpiece.
Who owns this day? Who started it?
Unduka Bagbena. Anything he touches almost turns to gold. I don't grudge him on that. But originally, the newspaper started as a mouthpiece for the lies and propaganda of Sani Abacha and Babangida, all of them. That was the origin of this day newspaper. Then let us go back to the billions that was stolen in the name of just suppressing the truth on June 12. Voila, it will pain you. People like Guarizo, the then NSA, people like the later Kumasi, the publisher of Abuja Mirror, people like what was it called? Abiola Ogundoni or whatever, the man from Iwo, all of them, they were taking huge sums in dollars and pounds sterling to launch newspapers and organizations to launder the image and
so
tell
they can
lies.
Control the narrative out there.
They were controlling it, but they never won. Ogundoni started a Conscience International newspaper, and they started calling Wole Soyinka all kinds of strange names, comparing between Soyinka and the characters in his Lion and the Jewel, that he has run away libido and what have you. But guess what? Who God has uplifted, who can bring him down? God says Nigeria will triumph over all these evil people, and Nigeria is shining today. So they are lashing out to it as if it's their making. Look at Babangida's spin on it. Oh, democracy has been on a forward march. It's not focusing on what it did to one who hurt it. It's almost like the song of what's it called? Hello?
Chief, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We're 19 minutes over.
Okay, we will stop. Yeah, it's almost like the song of Sachino Peters that said, you know, only Fawa go say
Only Fawa go say you, asiko wa you to real.
Something like that, yeah. Wherever somebody is going to go, he will go. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's so painful. Look at the deceit. Look at the tormentors of Nigeria on parade. They expose themselves. Dangote giving to Dangote. I don't think he has ever contributed 1 naira to give us advert at SharpEdge News, run by a blind man. But look at him. giving a 2 billion every
Are you
year.
asking him?
If he wants to, fine. If he doesn't want to, he should suck it up. But what I'm saying here is this.
Yeah.
Is Babangida even qualified to build a presidential library? He was not an elected president. Why is he fooling himself like that? Why is he living in that kind of bubble? Nonsense.
All right, everybody. Thank you. So here's what I want you to do for us to end this segment, right? Or segment. I've been corrected numerous times. I'm trying to correct it. To end this segment, here's what I want you to do. Ask the audience a question. Maybe a question that you would ask some of your colleagues. Maybe where you disagree. Maybe not necessarily disagreement, but maybe where you're curious with regards to Babangida's legacy. And personally, I would like to know how many people, accept this. I don't know if this is an apology. I don't know what this is. But what question would you like to ask people out there? And then we end.
What question would I like to ask Nigerians?
Yes.
No, the question I want to ask, how would they, if Babangida decides to breathe his last today, I don't have any death wish for him. But remember how he was erecting all kinds of memorial to himself while in power. What first went as a casualty of June 12 was his, what's it called? The monument erected to him at Ojaoba in Akure. You remember how that thing was uprooted? IBB's Oladimeji almost turning Nigeria to Iraq, where they were erecting his monument everywhere, just like they are naming whatever against themselves today. Gowon, all of them. They did it before. And look at the semblance between Gowon and Babangida. Gowon took Nigeria for a ride for 9 years. Today, he wants to hand over. Tomorrow, he will not hand over. That was why Chief Obafemi Awolowo left his government as the vice chairman of the Federal Executive Council then. So, what I want Nigerians to ask them, what else do they want of Nigeria? Upon everything they have done, what else do they want now? What is next? And that money they raised, they should trace all the victims, the families of the victims of June 12 catastrophe. They should be compensated. I do not know about the trillions they want to be given to Igbos. We have always known that January 15, 1966 was a revolution led by young Nigerian majors in the army, and they wanted the best. And if you look at all the all the documentaries coming from that era, people were tired of these politicians. It's almost getting to that now, but we don't pray for any military coup anymore. There is nothing good that can come out of a gun. A soldier is not in a position to deliver redemption to any country, anywhere. Quote me. So they should stay in their barracks. They shouldn't bother us anymore. If we falter as civilians, we would learn our lessons, and they should allow the media to thrive. Thank you very much. Good night.
Thank you. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, follow, turn up your notifications so you're notified whenever we drop videos or go live. Thank you so much for being here today. Hopefully you've been enlightened, educated. We'll see you on the next one. Take care and God bless. Cheers.